made this statement like a year ago, and some fact checker got a hold of me on Twitter and let me know that it has happened. So I will concede that he was right without even researching it and trust that it has. But I can tell you I follow the sport of boxing pretty close, and I don't know of a time, meaning not that it hasn't been a time, I don't know of one where boxing has ever lost their main event, right? And with that said, I must give one caveat, which was just a few months ago when Canelo got popped and they pulled him out. But I don't know of a time in boxing that a fight was ever scratched because someone didn't make weight, or that a fight was canceled, a big mega pay-per-view fight was canceled because one of the guys called in sick. I just don't ever recall that. From the golden days of boxing when you had Hearns and Hagler and Duran and Leonard, to the Mike Tyson era before that with the Muhammad Alis and the Spinks. Pass that on to the Oscar De La Hoyas and the Floyd Mayweathers of the world. The Klitschkos that helped to ruin boxing, but the Klitschkos that were still main event pay-per-view guys. I don't ever, Riddick Bowe and Evander Holyfield, I don't ever remember it. It was never even a concern as a fight fan back then. Boy, I wonder if this fight's going to happen or if one of these guys is going to pull out. Never. Ever. You think those guys don't get staph infections? You think those guys don't get hurt or twist a knee or man, I don't know why it's plagued in MMA. We don't see it in my sport of amateur wrestling either. Never. The guy missed the Olympic Games or the World Championships or the NCAA Championships. Break it down to a high school level, the state championships, the district meet. Never. Tape it up and walk out there. All the time, every time. Hobble around on one foot. It doesn't happen. It's this MMA thing. There are some very legitimate injuries. It's not my message. Never kick a guy when he's down. Hope anybody that's hurt gets healed. I'm just bringing up to you, we don't see it in other sports. Even combat sports. We don't see it. We see it, and even the fact checker, when I made this statement a year ago, had one example for me where it did happen, but it was one example. I could give you an example every week in MMA of some card that doesn't get pulled off between the UFC and Bellator because a guy either pulls out, which means he should lose. He should lose by forfeit. It's absurd that he doesn't. Or they miss weight, which should also be a loss by forfeit. I have no idea why we don't have a forfeit clause in MMA. You do in every other sport. Every other sport, you have a forfeit clause. The date of the Super Bowl of 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022, for that matter, are already set. They're already set. The exact date. If one team does not show up for any reason, because they have a staph infection, because they don't feel good, because they twisted their little ankle, if they don't show up, they're going to crown a Super Bowl champion that date. Guaranteed 100%. It's called a forfeit. It is involved, and it is a part of every sport on the face of the earth. Except this one. Every respected sport has a forfeit. You can forfeit. I concede to you without ever stepping in there and doing the contest. Except this one. That's where the show side comes in, right? My idea of a forfeit sounds really great when I say it, but when you're trying to produce a television show, it doesn't really work that way. What are you going to do? Hey, we got a whole bunch of fights tonight. Oh, and by the way, nobody's fighting tonight. But tune in to watch the forfeit. I see the problems with my own argument. I'm just sharing with you. I don't understand why that doesn't happen. I don't understand how you can pull out of a fight after saying you will do a fight, and it doesn't affect your ranking. I don't get that. If you are admitting up front, I am not tough enough to go and do this, you cannot maintain your ranking. The sport has never just been about who the best is. If it was, we'd throw everybody in an alley, and whoever walks out, we'd put the belt around. It's never been about that. That's the marketing. That's what you guys fall for. This sport is specifically about who can beat who in a specific rule set at a specific weight class. Oh, and wait for it, on a specific day. On a specific day. So if one guy can't walk out there after he already said he would, he loses by forfeit. His ranking's got to go too. I've seen guys sitting on ice, very legitimate injuries, sitting on ice, holding a number one ranking. You're looking around going, wait a minute. That guy can't even walk to the ring. That's the dude that's ranked number one in the world. Baddest dude in the whole world per your ranking. Can't get to the ring. Can't go to practice. Can't sign the contract. Can't get a license. That's the number one guy. Maybe we need to relook at that ranking. And there's something very cold about the way I'm saying it, but this is also a reality. This is very much so a reality. I don't know why my view of it, or what I'm proposing to you, is viewed colder than locking him in the ring and then having him get his ass whipped. Well, that's pretty cold too. Having him get beat down and take elbows to the face and have some guy strangle him around the neck or stretch out his arm or pop his knee. I mean, that's just as cold. So don't tell me that, hey, the guy was hurt, and why are you saying this? That's not my message. I'm just trying to speak very clearly here that if a guy cannot walk out there and do it, if he cannot go in the gym and prepare and get his weight down, if he cannot pass the prerequisites done by the commission to get the license, and yet you were a member of the media and you let him continue to sit with a number 1 or 2 or 3 or 5, wherever you want to put him ranking, I think that you need to explain that. Because you would be missing one of the key elements. Rules, weight, and date. The date matters.